Shabbat Shalom, everybody. I hope that you are feeling the newness of the year because we are in Shabbat Shuvah, the Shabbat between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. So we're right in the middle of reflecting on how our year has started, reflecting on how sweet, hopefully, our year has started, and also reflecting in general about how we're doing on our repentance so far, how we're doing on reaching out to those in our lives who we might need to reach out to, and also preparing for Yom Kippur, which is just around the corner. So I hope that all of us are engaged in this true introspection of this idea of Shabbat Shuvah. Lashuv, to return, is this Shabbat where we attempt to return, meaning return to maybe our better selves, return to God. And so here we are, Shabbat Shuvah, and the Torah portion that falls on Shabbat Shuvah, which often does, is the Torah portion this week called Ha'azinu. And Ha'azinu is a great Torah portion for a lot of reasons. One, first of all, it connects really nicely to the phrase which you might know from Caesar, from Shakespeare's Caesar: friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears, right? So that phrase, lend me your ears, that concept is exactly what ha'azinu means. Ha'azinu means listen, or give all ear, be all in your full listening skills to what I'm about to tell you, is what ha'azinu is all about. And who is speaking? Who is this person? God, clearly connected to everything, but who is speaking totally? Moses, right? Moses is the one who is giving this last bit of his speech, his 37-day-long speech. This is the entire book of Deuteronomy. He is speaking 37 days long, and he knows that essentially the second he's done speaking, he's going to die at the age of 120. And so he is giving this speech with a full heart and soul, because essentially this is the last Torah portion in the Torah. There is one more, but it's the one that connects to Simchat Torah, the one that we end with and then start back with Bereshit. So this is essentially the last Torah portion in the Torah. And so Moses has to connect with the Israelites and say, listen with your full selves, everybody. Listen closely, because I have this last bit of information I want to give you. And what I would love for us to talk about, for the next hour or two, just kidding. What I want us to talk about is this idea of not just what he says, because it's kind of a warning to the Israelites to say, sort of, don't fall back on all the promises and all the work that we've done, but the style in which he does so. So if you're a Moses lover, like I am a Moses lover. I love him. I think he's fabulous. I love him for a lot of reasons, particularly because he's real. He makes mistakes. He does great things. He probably doesn't make all the best decisions, and yet I still adore him. And so, that being said, it's pretty great to watch his progress here. Moses not just delivers the words he needs to deliver, but the way in which he delivers them. And if you look closely at how the text looks, which you'll be able to do, by the way, tomorrow morning, 9:00, Shabbat Shuvah, you'll be able to notice that the structure of the actual Torah text in the scroll is not in the regular block form. It's actually in like these poetic, sort of very narrow columns. And because it's as if Moses is sharing a poem. He's sort of singing almost through this poem to the Israelites. And here's why I think that's incredibly amazing. Again, big Moses fan. But here's why I think it's completely amazing, because if you think of Moses on how we meet him. He's a reluctant leader. He is sort of out of sorts because he's not really sure. He was put in the Nile, and then he goes to Egypt, and then he becomes a shepherd, and he sees the burning bush. It's kind of this very sort of weird start to his life. And then he says he's slow of speech and slow of tongue, and he needs Aaron, his brother, to help him speak to Pharaoh. And now look at the progress. Now look at how amazing the transfer has been for him, because now at the end of his life, at the end of his leadership, before he passes this on to Joshua, he is sharing a poem. So he has really, really shown us, I think, how you can progress. And I think that that's why almost every year, it's really two Torah portions that switch off on this special Shabbat between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. A lot of the time it's Ha'azinu, and I think it's here because it shows us the progress that Moses can make, and so I think it also shows us the progress that we can make. What is it in our lives that we can, particularly between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, on this very holy Shabbat, reflect on? What can we where can we grow? Where can we transfer ourselves like he did? How can we use Moses as our model as he shares with us this poem? How can we use him as that model in our lives to find a way to learn, to grow, to transfer ourselves from maybe not the exact example of Moses, from sort of not being able to speak, to have the sort of regular speech that he was nervous about, to this last speech now. But what is it that we can develop? What is it we have been thinking about and we have been holding on to and not taking that next step to do? So this is the time to do it. This is the time to make those changes. This is the time to give full ear, to listen fully with ourselves, and not lie to ourselves or cheat ourselves out of something. So I invite all of us on this very special Shabbat of Ha'azinu, of Shabbat Shuvah, the Shabbat in between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. I invite all of us to give full ear, to bring ourselves completely to listening to ourselves, to the people around us, to the changes that we can make. And I hope that you are having and continue to have a very sweet, happy, and healthy start to the new year. Gomar Chatima Tova. May we all be sealed in the book of life. And of course, I hope you have a lovely Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom.